Hello friends, myself Shriram. We will now continue with our file IO that we are trying to learn and we are trying to develop the code. So in this video now we will basically read a file character by character. We have seen this reading character by character earlier, so we are going to rely on that particular approach. However, now we are going to improvise on the things that we have developed earlier, and now we want to basically read how many characters are there in a particular file, then how many tabs are there, how many spaces are there, and how many new lines are there. So here you will see that particular information or that particular thing what we want to achieve. I have just typed it and kept it ready. Okay. So now we will rely on this one which we actually developed earlier. So we will basically copy this code and let me just copy this code and paste it here. So now we will see that this particular code is pasted. Okay. Now we would like to improvise on this. That means obviously we are going to do reading character by character, and we are going to open the same file that we have earlier used, and here mode is read mode. So this particular thing we don't need to do any change. Even the checking of null and all that is good enough. Okay. Now what we need to basically modify is something where we would like to count the characters. That means as soon as we read here in this while loop, we basically would like to add a few things which will help us to do counting. Okay. So to do that counting, we obviously will require multiple variables. Why? Because one counter will be used for doing new tabs. That means the particular tabs are there. Then something can be done for new lines, then spaces and things like that. That means now we will have multiple variables here. So let us say I will call it as new lines, and I will initialize it to 0. Okay, so this is for new lines to count the number of lines are there. Then tabs I will use is equal to 0. Then characters is equal to 0, and then spaces is equal to 0. So that's what essentially we want to count. Okay. Now as part of this while loop, we basically are going to do this reading and we are going to read character. Then we will obviously check whether it has reached end of file. Now instead of printing, what we should be doing is like we will make use of these variables and we will just keep on incrementing that. Okay. So how do you do that? So here now we will basically use this thing like character plus plus. Okay, so how do you do that? So essentially you have this characters. Okay, so we will use this place where we are going to increment characters. Okay, so that is the place where we should write how are we going to tackle. So this is where you have character, so we will increment this character. So and we don't want to print it right now. Okay, so we will simply increment character because characters are there in the file. Okay, so we'll just simply say character plus plus. Okay, and now we will check whether ch is equal to space. Okay, so I'm giving the space, and then if it is a space, then I will obviously increment spaces. Then I will have here if, because there is a space, but then there can be new line also after that. Okay, so for that now I will increment, that means I will check whether there is a new line, that is backslash n is for a new line. Okay, so this is new line, backslash n is for a new line, and then I will simply say new lines plus plus. Okay, then we have tabs. Okay, so I'll just say ch is equal to slash t. So this is for tab, backslash t is for tab. So we want to count tabs. So this is tabs plus plus. So that means now we are basically taking care of spaces, new lines and tabs. So this new lines, tabs and character. Now character is whether it is a new line is a character, then spaces is a character, and so tabs. That means or the actual character that you must have typed in the file. So everything basically will come under category of character. That's why irrespective of checking, we are incrementing the character. So that is what I just wanted to highlight. Okay, so this is important because we need to increment it. Okay, essentially here all the things are, everything basically is char. So we need to increment it. So that's it. And then after that we can have this message done, and then we close the file. Now once we close the file, we can simply print the character. So here we will use printf, and then I can have here characters count, then we will have percentage %d, and then char. Similarly we can have spaces and then tabs. Okay, so this is spaces, then tabs, and then new lines. And then obviously here we will use appropriate variable. So spaces, then tabs, and then new lines. So I think we are done. Let's run this code. I hope there are no other mistakes. Yeah, so you can see this. Don't worry about this done, because done is before all the things are done, and then we actually started printing this characters count, spaces count. So characters are 169, spaces are 29, tabs are 2, new lines, and this one. So let's try to open that file which we were using. So this is the file which we have you given as an input, and let's give here, remove this tab. Okay, and I think there is a tab here. Okay, yeah, so this is a tab. So I believe I'll remove all the tabs, and here probably I will enter here a tab, and I will give some message here. Then once again I will give here tabs. Some messages I just have typed in. Okay, and let's see this program again. Yeah, so you can see this tab count has significantly improvised, or it has increased. Why? Because I just kept on pressing tabs and all that. Okay, and obviously appropriately the characters also increased, spaces, and then this one. So obviously you will have to actually check whether there are really 28 spaces. Tabs are definitely, because I just showed you, I really increased it, and then you can similarly count number of lines. So that's very easy. You can simply count how many lines or backslash n are there, and there are new lines are there. So that way you can simply count. So that's the way typically you work with file operations. Essentially here we demonstrated reading operation. Once again we focused on character by character reading, and we essentially focused on really going into the file and then understanding how the files have character, or rather how many characters, how many tabs, how many spaces, and new lines. Thank you.